Managing a small team or business comes with a unique set of challenges. With limited resources and manpower, it's easy for things to feel chaotic and out of your control. How can you, as a leader, accomplish your goals while keeping your team engaged, effective, and accountable? This podcast will give you practical strategies you can implement now to lead your team or business to reach its fullest potential. Welcome to the Organizing Chaos podcast with your host, Danny Coleman.
Hey, what's going on? Thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of Organizing Chaos, where we discuss small practical strategies for small teams and small businesses. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. I want to jump right into this one. Everyone's favorite topic, meetings. So I remember the first time that I worked for a small business and they had meetings, regular meetings. And I was just like, it was so foreign to me. And I've never worked at a place where there were regular meetings. All the small businesses that I've worked at before, I mean, there might be like some kind of powwow in the morning or something like that. But I mean, nothing that was really structured where there was like an agenda and specific things that were gone over regularly and stuff like that. So when I worked for that business, I remember just kind of like how that changed things. I could tell I was just like, whoa, I'm really kind of part of something official here. Like this is grown up, you know. I was in my early 20s, and so that's just a little bit of personal kind of insight, or not insight, but just from where I came from, you know, to where I am now. I cannot imagine not having these 3 meetings in your business regularly. And I know that one of the biggest objections to meetings that small business owners have, I think there's 2 that I guess I really hear a lot. The first one is paying people to be there. It's a cost, right? It's a payroll cost, and payroll is already high enough. And so there's the concern of if we have a meeting and it's a regular meeting, I'm just going to be paying an hour or so for these people to just be here, and you know we're not going to get anything done. That's very valid. Let me address that now. First of all, that regular meeting, you are getting stuff done. Now, if you aren't, it's because you're not good at running meetings. And there's a lot of different resources out there that you can look up for running meetings. I have a meeting template. If you download my hiring guide, I actually have a meeting template that you can use. It's nothing fancy, but it'll give you some structure if you feel like you don't have any. So that's kind of one thing to address that. The second thing I would say is that even if it does cost you money, this will pay dividends for you in the long run, because you need to look at these regular meetings as an investment in communication, because that's what it is. Communication is always the worst thing in your business. Like that's by and large, that's not by and large, by far the biggest issue that I hear about in companies, and that's relationships in general. Communication is difficult. Having regular meetings is a regular check-in. If you have a specific agenda that you go over every time, it gives people an ability to know and organize their information instead of kind of shouting stuff off and into the breeze as you're passing someone by, asking them to take care of something. They forget about it. There was no real discussion around it. It doesn't get done. You get upset. They get upset. You know, that's what meetings are for. No one likes them particularly, but they're great when implemented correctly in your business. So anyways, not wanting to do the time or the payroll. And secondly, the second thing that I hear, biggest objection, is going to be people just don't like running meetings, right? So a big problem here is that it's because the visionary is still in charge. Visionaries are not a fan of meetings. Not these types of meetings. You know, these are the boring, detail-oriented types of meetings where we discuss things regularly. We look at numbers and stuff like that. It's not the exciting stuff that typically holds a visionary's attention. And so that's fine. That's not what a visionary is. That's not where their skill set is. It's not in running meetings. They can contribute to meetings really well, but the better of the 2 between visionary and integrator, between running meetings, is going to be the integrator. The integrator is it's more their natural skill set. It's more where their brain works and lives. And also, if you're set up properly, they're the one running the day-to-day operations of your business. So it's important for them to be the MC of that meeting. So, and I'll tell you right now, I also have a lot of people who actually like to have meetings with me simply because of the structure that I typically bring to the meeting. And then I give specific takeaways and action items at the end of every one. I can't stand having a meeting not having that. So again, it's just the way that my brain works. And so those are typically some of the biggest objections that I hear about why we're not already having regular meetings. Or maybe you're not having enough of the right ones, or you're trying to cram too much of everything into like a half hour and it never gets done. So now that I've addressed those objections, I want to talk about the 3 meetings that you should be having finding some way to work these into your monthly or your meeting schedule. I said monthly kind of as a Freudian slip, because that's kind of the minimum frequency that I believe you should have any of these at. So we'll start with the first one being the same page meeting. And now this again addresses if you have the setup that I preach the gospel about, which is the visionary integrator setup. That's the leadership. This is where leadership gets together, the visionary, the big thinker, and then the integrator, the detail-oriented person. They come together and they make sure that they're on the same page. This is where that tug and that pull really, like, you really see that power happen here, because the visionary is going to talk about the new things that they want to do, or the new metrics that need to be getting hit, raising the bar and stuff like that. And then the integrator is going to be pulling back the other way, kind of making sure that we're we're rooted in reality, that we're getting things done that we start, that we're not chasing shiny objects and things like that. So this meeting is extremely important to have between the visionary and the integrator. And I'm not going to go into the full shebang right now, but you can find a great template for it with the Rocket Fuel, the book that the visionary integrator really talked about in. If you check out that book, there's information in there, and also their website, Rocket Fuel. I think it's rocketfuelnow.com. I'll put the link in the description on this YouTube video. But anyways, there's some resources there as far as templates for that meeting if you are so interested. I have kind of a tweaked version of that. There's no right or wrong answer. It's just, the right answer is, at least as long as it's structured and it's happening regularly. But besides that, how you organize the content discussion in there, that's up to for you to figure out between the visionary and integrator working together. That's the first one. Second one is your one-on-one meetings. Now, the last episode I talked about employee development. This is where employee development happens. It's in the one-on-one meetings. This is where you as a leader build, transparency and honesty and trust and a good relationship and rapport. You build all those things in the one-on-one meetings. It's just like having a date with your significant other. Like, it's basically the same thing here, although obviously it's not romantic at all. It's just important that you have this regular one-on-one communication with your direct reports, so that way you're checking in to see how they're going. They can give you feedback on how you're doing as a leader, and you guys can work together to accomplish awesome things in your business. So that's the one-on-one meetings. And again, I'm going to have a future episode that goes into each one of these meetings in a bit more depth. This is really just the overview podcast about these three types of meetings you need to be having. The last type of meeting that you need to be having kind of has two versions of it. It's the team meeting. So this is one that a lot of businesses are having, and that's great. And if you're having a regular team meeting, I applaud you for doing that, because as I mentioned earlier, it does take time, and it also might not be in your natural skill set, but you're still doing it. So that's awesome. The type of team meeting that you need to have is really, it's going to be up to you. And I would say out of the visionary and integrator, it's up to the integrator in terms of how the meeting needs to be structured. But this is really just about getting people together on the same page, making sure that your team is aware of any kind of upcoming changes. That way they're not surprised. If you're rolling something new out, or you're thinking about implementing some kind of new system, this is where you let them know, hey, we're thinking about this. Give us your feedback. And then they give you feedback, and then when you go forward and do it, you have buy-in. So that's really where this is. You don't want to be making surprise announcements at these team meetings. These team meetings are an opportunity for you to make sure that you're getting buy-in from your team by announcing any kind of major decisions before they're made, and getting their feedback on it and stuff like that. Because you're going to get the best feedback from the people who are boots on the ground regarding any kind of changes that are going to affect them. And this is also where you can find out who are the leaders in your company. You can look at the people who engage the most, or the people who kind of like want to take charge of a project or something like that. They're going to raise their hand in these types of meetings, and they're going to talk and stuff like that. And that's a good way for you to identify who maybe has leadership potential or management potential. So the other version of the team meeting is something that happens less frequently. It can be a quarterly basis, yearly basis. It's really entirely up to you. But it should happen at least once a year. And this is culture building. It's a cultural type meeting. So what you're going to be doing with these, this is going to be fun. This is where you guys get out and you have a good time. You bond. You have experiences. Shared experiences can last. There's all kinds of literature you can read about it. When someone has a shared experience with somebody else, that bond or that connection becomes very deep. And it's just the truth. You guys both went on a cruise together, or you went on a hiking trip together, or you guys played, the team played sports together. There was red versus blue or something like that. Like those types of things, those shared experiences do a lot to help build the camaraderie and community that you want to have in your small business, which again keeps things out like drama and people being not honest with each other and open with each other. When they have these types of shared experiences, they can feel better about being open and honest with each other. So those are the three types of meetings that you need to be having. I would say, again, all of these at a minimum, have them on a once per month basis. I really recommend every other week, though. I just find that it's very easy to become distracted and other things are going to just start filling up your life if you're not having these meetings at least every other week. I personally have my same page meeting with my visionary every week. The one-on-one meetings that I have currently, it's a part-time employee, so we do it every other week. And then we still do team meetings, even though it's just the two of us right now and a part-time employee. Now, of course, we have other meetings with other like third-party contractors that work with our business. But my point is, I'm talking about the core group of the team here. And so, yeah, actually, I think it's next week. I mean, like this episode will probably actually already come out by the time this happens. But at the end of March, we're going on a team meeting group together. So. Anyways, these are the things, man. This is really what's going to change your business. It's what I've seen, that the difference between successful businesses and unsuccessful businesses are the ones that regularly find channels or rather opportunities to communicate. So that way the channels of communication are always clear and people just know what to expect. These regular check-ins are really, really powerful. So hope that you're doing them in your business. And again, if you have any questions about how to get these in place, you can always shoot me an email, dannycoleman.me. And then you can comment, share, like, subscribe, review on both YouTube. You can find me on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify. Would love to hear from you on any of those platforms or connect with you on any of those platforms. You can also, if you want to connect with me on Instagram or Twitter, I really don't use Twitter all that much, but I am on there. Instagram's kind of where I spend more social time, is I am Danny Coleman, which should float up around the bottom of the screen here if you're watching on YouTube. And thanks so much for tuning in, guys. I hope that you all are doing well, and I will see you later.
Want more? Go to dannycoleman.me to download Danny's free small business hiring guide, which includes tips, templates, and tools, plus a step-by-step process you can use to find and keep high-quality employees for your small team or business.